Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. The following interview is designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be. Your host, Derek Champagne, is the founder and CEO of The Artist Evolution, a full-service agency building successful brands, marketing tools, and campaigns, and also the author of the best-selling book, Don't Buy a Duck. And now, let's begin today's Leadership Series interview.
Welcome to the Business Leadership Series, where our goal is to inspire you to become the best leader that you can be. I'm your host, Derek Champagne. We've got a great guest today, Nick Friedman. He is the co-founder of College Hunks Hauling Junk. Nick, welcome to the program today.
Hey, Derek, thanks so much for having me.
Man, you've got an exciting journey. I think I first saw you on Shark Tank years ago, and you've been on Oprah Winfrey Show and CNN and MSNBC and CBS and NBC and so many, even Millionaire Matchmaker. Is that correct?
Yep, that is correct. Unfortunately, that's one of my many reality TV appearances.
Well, you have been everywhere, including even on a panel on MTV at the White House about entrepreneurship, which I think is really cool, and even named on the same list as Mark Zuckerberg as the 30 most influential CEOs under 30. And so that's really amazing. I'd love for you to start at the beginning, if you don't mind. I'm sure you've told the story 100 times, but give us a few highlights of your entrepreneurial journey starting out when you were just in college.
Yeah, happy to. So, I was brought up kind of the traditional education, really always taught to follow the traditional career path. You work hard in school, you get good grades, you go to a good college, you get a good job after college, and you kind of climb that corporate ladder. And the summer before my senior year of college, I was home for vacation. I had an internship, and it was in an office at the International Monetary Fund in Washington, D.C., so it looked great on my resume, but it was just really unfulfilling for me, and I couldn't really picture myself doing that type of work for the next 20, 30, 40 years of my life. And my best friend from high school was home for summer vacation as well, and his mom had this beat-up cargo van that she told him she could use that summer to go around doing odd jobs. So Omar, who was his name, and he approached me and said, hey, let's use this cargo van to make some extra money this summer. So we were sitting around the living room table, and we were throwing around ideas on ways to make the phone ring, and we threw out the name College Hunks Hauling Junk as kind of a catchy way to, catch people's attention. And so we put out computer printout flyers, stuck them around the mailboxes that night, and people started calling. They had a need for the service to have stuff hauled away, have stuff moved around. They kind of appreciated and thought the name was catchy and quirky and fun, and that was really the first time the light bulb went off for me. Was, wow, there's actually something else that we could do that's not really anything we learned in school per se. That's fun. We could see the immediate impact of our efforts. We can get paid for it. And so we went to school our senior year of college, and we ended up writing a business plan and put it into an entrepreneurship competition. And we actually won first prize out of about 150 entries for this idea, College Hunks Hauling Junk. So it gave us a little more confidence in the idea, but then we actually graduated and still got corporate jobs. We had been so programmed to get a regular job after school that that's what we did, even with the business plan, even with the summer of operating under our belts. And so about 3 or 4 months into the corporate world, again, I was feeling unfulfilled. I emailed Omar and said, hey, listen, what's our timeline for quitting our jobs and starting this business on a full scale? And he emailed me back, all capital letters, my timeline's right now, exclamation point. Let's do this. And, needless to say, our parents were a little skeptical.
Sure.
You can imagine some raised eyebrows from friends and family. They're thinking, hey, you just graduated from college, you got a great job, and you're going to quit to do what? Haul junk? And the company's going to be called what? College Hunks Hauling Junk? And when we first quit our jobs, we were literally doing all of the work ourselves. I mean, we were driving the truck, answering the phones, hauling the junk. And I always tell the story, people would call the 800 number to complain about erratic driving, and we had it routed to our cell phone. So I'd be in the driver's seat, answering the phone, apologizing, saying, listen, we don't condone that type of driving in our company. We'll tell those guys to be safer on the road. And really the turning point for us, quite frankly, is when we read the book, The E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber. And in that book, he talks all about working on your business, not in your business, creating systems so that your business can scale. And that was really the next light bulb moment for us, is when we read that, we said, okay, wow, if we're going to have another truck, let alone one day another location, we've got to start documenting everything we do, how we load the truck, how we answer the phone, how we move the stuff, how we greet the customer. And that was really the sort of foundation for us to eventually franchise our business. So that's the path that we've since taken, and now we've got about 100 and so franchises around the country, and large call center supporting them. So that's kind of fast forwarding from the start to where we are today.
Yeah, that's incredible. It seems like it happened pretty quickly for you. I know you were the ones doing the work and you were hauling the junk, but you surpassed $1 million in sales in your second year. Is that correct?
That is correct, and certainly that was a big milestone for us. And we were working really hard to make it happen. But our goal was always to become a national brand, and certainly they say no overnight success happens overnight.
Right.
For us, when we first got started, I would say the initial success that we had that got us kind of over that $1 million revenue mark was just a lot of old-fashioned hard work, a lot of networking, a lot of guerrilla marketing, a lot of word of mouth, low-cost advertising, putting the truck in visible locations, knocking on realtor doors, trying to introduce ourselves into the community, because we were a little bit fortunate with timing. It was still kind of the peak of the housing market. This was in the mid 2000s.
Okay.
But social media hadn't really taken off yet. Online reviews hadn't really taken off yet. So it was still kind of a little bit of an old-fashioned just roll up your sleeves and get to work.
I love those. I talk about the old days for myself of doing the old grassroots guerrilla marketing, boots on the ground type approach. Do you still incorporate some of that into your marketing strategy today?
We do. It's absolutely still part of our marketing program that we teach our franchise owners around the country. We basically let them know you've got to be, nothing gets the trucks on the road like the trucks on the road. You've got to be seen to be known. You got to be visible. So, we have strategies we call parketing, parking the trucks in visible locations when they're not in use. Door hangers, yard signs, we have a mascot costume. We do mascot waves. Anything we can do to just try to drum up attention, because obviously people are typically going to start their search online, but if they've seen you offline, then there's more recognition and more likelihood that they're going to click on your link. Right.
And it looks like your growth was happening during the wide acceptance and emergence of social media as well. What kind of play did social media have for you as you were growing?
You're absolutely right. When we first started, this was in 2005, so Facebook, I think, had just kind of come to the forefront as a social media platform.
Right.
And it certainly wasn't as much of a business platform as it is today. It was more just a pure, social, friends, photos, that sort of thing. So we didn't leverage it much in the early days as we do now. Now today, it's a really big component of our overall client engagement strategy, marketing strategy, content creation and sharing strategy. But early on, it was not really something that people were utilizing. When we first started, it was more pay-per-click advertising on Google was kind of the big way, the new initiative, and that was making Yellow Pages obsolete. And now, of course, Yellow Pages are pretty much all but forgotten. And Google is still very relevant, but now I think social media has a much bigger presence when it comes to a business's marketing strategy.
That's good. I want to ask you in just a couple minutes about building a team and things like that. But while we're still talking about your startup days, I'd love to hear about if there's those listeners who have hit their corporate job and not find the fulfillment that they have, and what advice you have to them if they're looking at starting something on the side, or if they're what would you share as far as a mindset, what they need to look for?
That's actually a great question, and actually I failed to mention that when we first started right after college, we had corporate jobs for a little bit, and we actually ended up quitting our jobs to start the business. There was a sort of, I would call it kind of a transition period, about maybe 2 or 3 months, where we had actually started the business while we still kept our corporate day jobs and were still collecting a paycheck. And that, I think, maybe gave our parents more confidence than it did us. I mean, we were young and just ready to go, but
sure.
I think our parents were still feel a little bit, apprehensive about it. So, somebody who's working still kind of working in the corporate world and has thought about maybe taking the leap of entrepreneurship, it doesn't have to be an all-in, from day one type of scenario. There's some things you could do to, test the market, try to get your feet wet, try to get the ball rolling while you still have the security of the paycheck. But at the end of the day, I mean, starting a business, it is a risky endeavor, no doubt about it. If it were easy, everybody would do it.
Right.
If it were easy, everybody would be successful at it. But, you just have to, I think, have a level of confidence, a vision for what it is that you're going to make happen, and a level of discipline and resolve that you're going to make it work no matter what. You're not going to let setbacks or delays inhibit you from pursuing that vision. So being able to kind of stare fear in the face and do it anyway, I think is really important if you're going to make that leap.
That's good advice. Thank you. So how do you stay focused? You've come up with a great model. It's catchy. It's marketable. You franchise it. You've done what is nearly impossible to do, and it's amazing. How did you stay focused and not get distracted with other opportunities? I know that you've done stuff on television as well. How did you keep this business growing and franchising like you have? What are some keys to not being distracted?
Man, focus is so critical for any endeavor if you're going to be successful at it. And I think most entrepreneurs, if not all, suffer from a little bit of ADD where they're kind of chasing every new shiny idea that comes across. And, I used to joke that, I would say ADD just stands for all damn day because you can't turn it off. You're always going. We've definitely been guilty of chasing new ideas, chasing shiny objects that seem like they could be, better opportunities than what we have going for us already.
Right.
And at the end of the day, those distractions really are distractions. And you have to have so much discipline to stay focused because, the focus part is the part that takes work. That's the part that's hard, I think, for a lot of entrepreneurs.
Right.
Because, some of the fun and adrenaline and thrill that we get is in the innovative process and the creative process and the new idea and new venture process.
Right.
And so once we start getting into the kind of the day-to-day grind of trying to grow a business, it doesn't it's not as fun or fanciful as when we first got started. So that's why we end up trying to possibly pursue other endeavors. And every time we've done that, we've gotten a little bit burned, and our core business has suffered as a result of it. We haven't had the resources or time to devote to these new ventures. And at the end of the day, you can't replicate yourself. And there's only 24 hours in a day. So if you're going to pursue a new venture and you're going to put your effort into it, then you better have somebody else who's going to run your existing venture. Or if you're going to stay focused on your existing venture, but you want to pursue a new venture, you got to have the money that you put to work and have somebody else pursue that new venture, because you can't just slice up your own time and think that you're going to be 100% effective at 10 different opportunities at the same time. And a great example of that, you mentioned the Shark Tank. We went on the Shark Tank. We were on the very first episode, actually, of the very first season.
Okay.
And we were pitching a sister company. We were going to call it College Foxes Packing Boxes. Incidentally, the Sharks ended up offering us an investment, but they wanted equity in College Hunks Hauling Junk. So we ended up turning down the deal, but we still tried to go and test market and launch this sort of female packing service idea. And it fell flat. It wasn't the right market. It wasn't the right positioning of the brand, but it also became a big distraction, and our core business suffered as a result of it. So we always talk about in our management meetings, when a new idea comes up, we say, hey, are we chasing a squirrel into the woods here, or is that a real viable opportunity? Let's vet it before we start chasing it. So
Right.
I think that's really critical.
That's great. So let me ask you personally, how do you, as wired as entrepreneurs, you're right. We like building something and we like chasing it. And sometimes when you start to find success, you say, okay, great. Now what? And so how do you, you want to keep running and growing your business. How do you find fulfillment and focus? I get, but how do you continue to find fulfillment in growing that?
Yeah, a couple things we did about 4 or 5 years ago to really make our business one that we felt good about getting up every day and working on, and that our team members felt good about getting up every day and working on, is we defined our core company purpose and we defined our core company values. And when we defined those, we made those extensions of our own personal beliefs and value system as well. My business partner and myself. And so, by defining that and making that part of the organization, we're bringing to life something that we're passionate about. So, we say our core purpose as an organization is to move the world, and that's not just moving people's stuff, but actually making a positive impact and moving people emotionally, because we get a level of satisfaction of seeing the impact that our service has on our clients, that our business model has for our franchise owners and employees, and our employees buy into that and believe in that a lot as well. And so, that keeps us kind of getting out of the bed in the morning, is trying to further that mission. And then we created 4 core values that align with that mission, which is building leaders, creating a fun, enthusiastic team environment, listen, fulfill, and delight our clients and team members, and always branding. And so those 4 core values tie in to our company purpose. And that, I think, has kept me from getting burnt out, has kept me from losing focus or losing interest in what we're building. Now, I'd be lying if I said that I don't sometimes feel like I'm getting dragged into the weeds of the day-to-day of the business, and I'd prefer to be kind of doing high-level strategic creative thinking. And I think that happens to every business owner, no matter what size of the business, because at each level of complexity the business is at, there's monotonous and menial tasks that still have to get done, and in some cases the owner has to do them.
Right.
And that does squelch the passion a little bit. But I think at each level the key is identifying team members who you can effectively delegate things that you either are not good at as the owner or you don't enjoy doing as the owner. And if you can delegate those things and spend majority of your time doing the things you like doing and that you're good at doing, then you get a level of fulfillment out of what you do every day. So, that's an ongoing balance. That's an ongoing struggle. I don't think that ever ends. But we're in the process right now of identifying a possible chief operating officer to bring into our organization to kind of help lead some of the integrating organizational and accountability elements of our business as it's become more and more complex. That's something that my partner and I aren't as fond of doing. We like to do more of the creative visionary thinking, culture development, people development, and so we want to try to get some folks in place that can lead the organization forward from a operational standpoint.
Thanks. That's great advice. And you're so right. There is an ongoing balance that you've got to find. And I was struggling with that last week and this week myself. And read books like Good to Great, and then yours also working on and on in your business. And I always have that guilt of, what can I be turning over, or what can I be sharing with my team or with our operations. But man, you've done an amazing job. How many franchises do you have?
We're right around 100 right now.
That's such an amazing success story. Tell me about how you deal with growing pains, or how you deal with setbacks or failure or things that don't go as planned. What is your approach to recognizing those things when they've happened and how to move past them and grow?
It's always a mental struggle. Entrepreneurship is a roller coaster of ups and downs and everything in between, and no doubt about it. Probably our most difficult, darkest time was during the recession, when the economy was down, and our franchise owners weren't growing as fast as we thought they could or should, and so it was a challenge. It was a mental struggle, and the way that I deal with that is a couple things. Number one, I've surrounded myself with a lot of other successful business owners. I've joined some organizations like the Entrepreneurs Organization, Young Entrepreneurship Council, Young Presidents Organization, and so I feel like I have a network, and also on the franchise side, the International Franchise Association. I feel like I have a network of like-minded business leaders who have either gone through the same thing that I'm going through, are going through the same thing I'm going through, or will be going through the same thing that I'm going through. And so being able to lean on them and kind of have that support has helped me deal with challenges, so I don't feel like I'm out on an island or tackling it alone. There's also a book I actually keep on my nightstand. It's a Dale Carnegie book called How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. And it's the subtitle is Time-Tested Methods for Conquering Worry. And I've got a bunch of, dog ears in the book, a bunch of underlined paragraphs. And, anytime I feel anxiety or stress or setbacks, where I feel like it's kind of impacting me mentally or emotionally, then I'll just pick that book up and reread certain excerpts of it, and it just kind of helps recenter my thought process, because the book was written probably close to a century ago, or at least half a century ago, and talks about examples from the Middle Ages of people dealing with worry. So it's it's a human condition that we deal with regardless of what state you're in, and it's just a matter of conquering it and first of all recognizing it and then overcoming it. So those are some of the things that I've done to deal with some of the mental battles that come with being a business owner.
That's good advice. Thank you. You talked about how you and your partner enjoy working on building leaders and the internal culture. Tell me a little bit about how you do that. I know that's some of the speaking topics that you do is crafting company culture and becoming and building better leaders. Give us some insight there.
For us, one of our core values being building leaders is the idea that we're hiring a lot of 18 to 25-year-olds. We don't want to just hire people that view this as a clock in, clock out job or a job just to move stuff. We want to hire individuals who view this as an opportunity to learn and grow. And one of the ways we do that is just simply by training, by mentoring, by providing guidance and insight, asking each of our team members what are their goals, and then trying to help them achieve those goals. We do a daily huddle with our team, and each day during the huddle we review a different core value story or an example of where the core values have been lived from the prior day or week. We do team building events. We do a lot of rewards, contests, and recognitions to positively reinforce the efforts and the accomplishments of our team members. And so all of those things I think go towards creating a unique culture, building leadership, and empowering the team is really what building leaders is all about. Is giving them the tools, setting the expectations, and then getting out of the way and holding them accountable to what it is that those expectations are.
That's good. Tell me about delighting customers. What are some ways that you continue to stay fresh? And I love that word. That's a word we have in each account manager's desk and throughout our office. Even our conference room is one of our 5 value points, and one of those is to continue to surprise and delight the customer. So I love that. So I'd love to learn from you some of the things you guys are doing to continue to surprise and delight your customers.
Yeah, it actually all starts with training, because customer service, to a lot of people you think it's common sense, but it's really not, because as one person thinks, it might be completely different than what somebody else thinks. So it starts with training, and probably the best training exercise that I have found to educate your team on customer service is you get them in front of a whiteboard or a flip chart and you say, okay guys, today we're going to talk about client experience. First and foremost, what do clients expect when they call us? And you create a list of everything that clients are going to expect when they call you for a product or service. Then you say, okay, now what are clients likely to complain about? So you write down all the potential complaints that somebody might have, and you say, okay, great. Now, out of these complaints, each one of them, what is something that we could do 100% of the time to minimize the complaints? So an example, in our company, somebody might complain about tracking mud on their carpet. So what is something we could do 100% of the time to minimize that? We offer to wear the shoe covers. Right. And so you create a list of every potential complaint, and you have something that if your team or your customer service providers offer every single time, 100% of the time, you're going to minimize the complaints. And then you hold your team accountable to that, because they created that list. It's not you giving them a list saying, hey, do these things. It's them coming up with the list. And then the last piece of it is to say, hey guys, this list we created is great. We'll minimize the complaints, but the problem is all of our competition knows this list as well. So what we really need to focus on is how we go above and beyond, how we do things that, customers are going to tell stories about to their friends and neighbors and write online, and that's more of an art than a science, where the minimizing complaints is scientific. If we do these things 100% of the time, we're going to minimize complaints. The art opportunity is really, looking for opportunities to go above and beyond. So, a couple examples that have happened in our company that, there's no way you could put this in an operations manual. We had a mover who was at an assisted living facility doing a move, and the elevator got stuck, and there was an elderly woman in the elevator, and she was having a little bit of a panic attack, having trouble standing, and so the mover actually got on his hands and knees and let her sit on his back while the elevator was being fixed.
Wow.
So she wouldn't fall down. And it's because obviously we hired a guy with a great attitude,
right.
and B, we talked about ways to always looking for ways to go above and beyond for people. He did this, and actually somebody snapped a picture of it when the elevator doors opened and put it on social media, and it went viral. I mean, it got picked up by news outlets everywhere. And another example was a group of our movers did a job for a family member who had recently lost a loved one, and so they brought flowers and delivered flowers at the time of their move to express their condolences. And so just little things like that, always looking for opportunities. There's stuff that we also do on a day-to-day basis that, we try to wow clients with, sweeping up after every job, maybe offering to take out the trash for them. But those are kind of little, basic touches. But I think it's the really above and beyond stuff that creates that legacy, that world-class culture, service legacy.
Man, that's really great. So you talk about you guys love the always branding side. Tell me about some of the types of branding and publicity that you enjoy doing. As a brand in an industry that's highly competitive, like moving services is, where anybody can get into this business if they have a truck and a logo and a company name. One thing we've done is try to always look for creative ways to maximize the exposure of the brand. And our company name is playful. It's catchy. The story is compelling. So we've always looked for ways to try to maybe leverage the media through publicity, whether it's news media, reality television, awards and contests that we could receive recognition for. We've always looked for ways to get our name out there, because it just elevates the awareness of the brand. It elevates the credibility of the brand. And it's something that a lot of the other companies in our industry aren't really thinking about doing. So that's always branding. But we also make sure we emphasize that branding isn't just about getting the logo on TV or parking the trucks in visible places. Your brand is the emotional impression that the public has when they see or interact with your logo and your business. So we tell our guys on the front lines that always branding for them means they're a walking, talking billboard for this business and this brand, that they're on a stage at all times when they're out in the community, and they need to remember that. They need to operate as if Oprah in 60 Minutes is following them around with a video camera, because the world is watching. They want to see who's driving the truck when this big shiny college hunks truck pulls up to the gas station. They want to see who's getting out at the 7-Eleven when they're on a break, but they're still wearing the uniform and in the truck. So branding is much more than just getting the name out there on TV, but obviously that's been a big piece of our growth strategy, no doubt. That's awesome. You're right. Conduct your business like you've got Oprah following you around all the time with cameras. So tell me a little bit about being on Oprah's show. I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, we had gotten called up by one of their producers because they were doing a special program on a person who had hoarding tendencies. They hadn't been able to throw anything away for 20, 30 years. Okay. And they were running out of dumpsters, or they were having a short, I guess they were having a difficult time getting the dumpsters picked up fast enough. So they wanted us to come on and clean out the house using our truck. So Our trucks got some great visibility. And then about 3 months later, we got a call from the same producers. They were doing a show called Oprah's Messiest Room Contest up in New York City, and they wanted us to come help. And the funny thing is, this was still, we didn't have a location yet up in New York, and we were based in D.C. And they were like, "You have a location in New York, don't you?" And we were like, "Yeah, we sure do." So we pretty much said, when Oprah calls, you drop everything. So we drove these trucks up to New York City. We probably amassed, I don't know, $1,000 worth of parking tickets that weekend, but we got our trucks back on the program.
That's great. Yeah, if Oprah calls, you go, right?
That's right.
That's awesome. Hey, a couple more questions for you. You've got your book, which is
absolutely.
a bestseller, The Effortless Entrepreneur. I enjoyed the book. It's very digestible. I know it's been out for a couple years. Endorsed by some Michael Gerber and some other well-noted entrepreneurs. So tell me a little bit about, you've got the 10 Commandments of Business. Ignore these and you'll lose more than just your company. Give me a few highlights on the 10 Commandments.
Yeah, absolutely. So just a little quick backstory about this book. My business partner and I were at a conference, and one of the speakers pretty much said, anybody who's ever written a book always says they wish they had done it 10 years earlier. So whatever you're, thinking about writing, just start writing it now. And so I guess my business partner and I took that literally, and we said, well, I guess we got to write a book. And we said, well, let's write, what it is we wish we knew then that we know now after, having started this business. And so the idea is, at the time we were, kind of in our mid-20s, kind of in the middle of the fire of growing this, this business in the franchise industry. And, one thing that we thought of was, you read a lot of books, but you don't remember all the messages that are in there.
Right.
And, just like if you read the Bible, you may not remember everything that you read, but you're not going to forget the 10 Commandments, or at least you're not going to forget most of the 10 Commandments. So, for us in our book, we wanted to try to have sort of some key points or key takeaways that we sort of consistently reference throughout the book. So a few of those, just to kind of share with you and the audience here. Number one is always start with a vision, create the system, and then work back to the present, rather. Start with the vision, work back to the present, and live by that roadmap. So you create a strategic plan, and you live by that roadmap on a daily basis, because imagine if you're getting to go on a road trip, and you get in your car, you pack up the car, and you just start driving aimlessly. You might end up somewhere cool, or you might drive off a cliff. Well, if you've got a destination in mind first, and then you've got create the roadmap on how you're going to get there, then you're going to plan off your different stops, and you might get a flat tire here, you might run out of gas there, but you still ultimately know where you're trying to get to. So that was one of the commandments there, is to always start with the vision, create the strategic roadmap, and live by that. Something that's I think really been relevant for me and my business partner is, never allow the business to truly sacrifice or compromise your personal friendships and family relationships. And, I started this business with a good friend of mine from high school, and we still remain friends to this day, having been business partners for 11 years. And I think it's because we always keep our priorities in mind as far as what's really important, and don't get, let the business and the passion for the business impact negatively our relationships, both with our with each other and with our respective family and friends. So I think that's really critical as well. And then a third one that I'll share with you is ideas mean nothing without action, and this is one I think a point that's really critical with any endeavor is ideas are great, they're fun to talk about, they get everybody excited, but ultimately it's the people that take an idea, put it into action, and are passionate enough about the idea to try to make it a reality that are going to ultimately have the success in the long term and in the long run. And so those would be three that I think really stick out to me when I reflect back on the book.
Wow, yeah, that's great advice. I love this book. It's easily digestible, and it's a great read, not cumbersome, and I think it's chocked full of good advice. Let me ask you about leading a millennial workforce. There's countless articles that talk about it. There's some complaining, and there's some talking about how to motivate. You've done a great job of motivating the millennials and building your business on it. So tell me a little bit more about how to lead a millennial team.
From my experience so far, and obviously majority of our frontline staff are 18 to 25-year-olds, really the key is giving a sense of purpose that's more than just about making money. and give light the path of opportunity of ways that they can grow both personally and professionally. And it doesn't mean that they're guaranteed a promotion, but it shows that there's a pathway to professional improvement, professional development, and engage them, empower them in ways that they can, feel like their voice is listened to. They can feel smart, valued, and important, and not just a cog in the wheel. So, those have been kind of the three elements for me that I think have been really impactful for managing that millennial workforce. At the end of the day, they want to feel like they are mattering, like they're making a difference, that it's not just, there to punch a clock and collect a paycheck. They want to feel their voices are heard. And they want to be empowered to be able to grow. So those focuses for us have proven very very successful.
That's good advice. So you've accomplished so much already. You're relatively young, and you've built this 100+ franchise and multi-million-dollar company, and you've been on all these shows and all these awards, and have written a best-selling book. What are you most proud of, professionally and personally?
Wow, that's a pretty great question. It's a couple things. One, I would say I'm most proud when I hear from existing or former employees talk about how impactful the experience was or is working at this organization. We've run across guys who, were working as, frontline movers and haulers for us for, a year or 6 months, and I'll run into them and they'll say, I learned more in my time working for you than I did in any class or in any other company that I've worked for. And just to hear them say that, it just kind of validates the idea behind our whole sort of building leaders' core value of creating a place where people learn and grow and kind of helps launch them into their future endeavors. So that would probably be, I would say, what makes me the most proud is just seeing the feedback from the people that that this organization has touched in a positive way. Particularly the ones who work within the organization or who have worked in the organization. Similarly, the impact it has on our franchise owners. I mean, these are individuals who have business aspirations, but maybe didn't want to try to start something from scratch on their own. So, they invested in this brand and this opportunity, and to see them, make a financial return on that investment and be fulfilled financially has been a very big source of pride for me. And then, I think also, I guess I'm always humbled and proud when I hear or when I see my parents' sense of pride, in what I've been able to accomplish.
Yeah.
I think every kid, has a an inner desire or to grow up and be able to make their parents proud, and
Right.
I think that I've been able to do that, so that gives me a sense of gratitude as well.
Yeah, that's great. So what's next for you, or what have you yet to accomplish that's on your bucket list that you want to do?
Oh man, I think I'll say this playfully, but I'm half serious about it. We've been on all these TV shows. I think it would be fun to have our own television series, about the College Hunks business and some of the ins and outs of running the small business and the different types of things that the guys find on the job, and some of the storylines of the frontline staff and the franchise owners. So to me it would be having lived it, would be and having watched a lot of television, I think it would be an entertaining and also educational program. But so that would be, I think, a fun future endeavor if we could make something like that work.
Yeah, that'd be exciting. So is there anything else you want to share with our audience?
Just, I appreciate the opportunity. Like I said, I'm humbled to have been invited to come on and join you here. People are, interested in learning more about, College Hunks. They can go to collegehunksfranchise.com. If they want to learn about me, nickfriedman.com. But I think what you're doing is awesome, Derek. I think, inspiring entrepreneurship and helping people pursue their dreams is so critical. It's going to move the company forward.
Well, I truly appreciate you being our guest too, and enjoy learning from you. And I do invite our listeners to go and learn more about you. You're hearing from the co-founder of this national franchise, and what a great story, and how customer focused and centric this brand is. And I love that. I love that you're hungry and growing still, and so focused on the customer. I know that's going to continue to serve you well. So, man, we look forward to seeing what you do next. If you want to learn about Nick's book, it's Effortless Entrepreneur, or you can look him up on any show or Google him and learn more about him as well. So, Nick, thanks again, and look forward to continuing to follow what you're doing and to seeing you on your own reality show someday too.
Good deal. Thanks, Derek. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.
You've been listening to the Business Leadership Series, where we engage with leaders who are making an impact on their worlds and who want to share their knowledge and experience for your personal and professional growth. This interview was designed to inspire you to become the best leader you can be.